All right, we are back here, Cream Ridge, New Jersey, PSP New Jersey Open. I am Matty Marshall, and gracing my presence is Eric Roberts, world champion, paintball player. Used to play for the Ironman, Avalanche.
Ironman with you.
Yes, we won some titles together.
Back in the day.
Yes, back in the day. All right, coming at you next, we have an interesting story here as the Russian Boston Red Legion are 0-2, and you have a team that has literally been one of the just powerhouse dominant forces in this sport. They, professional paintball players. They live in Moscow. They train full time. They have multiple coaches. Just a complete armada of paintball that they bring to these events. Now that being said, they're 0-2. They have really struggled to figure out this field. This is a very interesting field, not the typical paintball field. Snakes on both sides. Now they're taking on an Aftershock team that's 2-1. Another thing that's interesting to point out, Eric, is that Aftershock, they already played a game today.
And
they're warmed up.
What place is Shock in right now?
First place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legion?
Last place.
Theoretically last place. And
yeah.
this is,
well, they're tied for first, but still.
But they've won an event this year.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think the really big thing though is that yes, Legion had this. I mean, God, the Chicago event. If you got to watch it, if you haven't, go on the internet and watch that game. That was one of the most amazing paintball games I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of them. Justin Rabikoff and the rest of the crew of the Russians just played phenomenal out of their skulls, taking down a Dynasty team that hadn't lost an event all year. They were 5-0. It was amazing. But now they're 0-2, and this is a do or die for them, just like Infamous, who went 0-3, losing to Impact if you caught that last match. But again, Aftershock, they're warmed up, they're ready to go, they've already played, and I'll tell you what, man, this is going to be a good game. Now, Aftershock, this is proving ground for them.
Yes.
Have they really started to become a better team?
Well, did they finally figure out how to become a better team?
Yes, exactly. Have they taken that talent that they started with? They took second place at World Cup last year to the team they're about to play, and they got beat down bad. I think they got skunked. It was a brutal beatdown in World Cup last year. They get a chance to avenge it. They're playing great. They're playing solid. You can see him right now in that high huddle. Drew Templeton is playing out of his skull. Nick Sloviak, emotional leader for that team. Great guy, solid dude to have running that crew. And I'm really excited to see. They even brought Mikey Bruno, paintball legend Mikey Bruno. If you don't know the name, you should. And he is back helping out, helping coach the squad, and really trying to bring some of that hardcore Aftershock, in-your-face, brutal beatdown mentality that they were known for years to the plate. Now, Russians, they need to figure something out. I'm sure they probably had an 8-hour meeting last night into the wee hours of the morning, analyzing every single frame of the 15 hours of video that they took. But hey, man, that's what they need to do. If that's what they need to do, then that's what they need to do. We'll see. But I just think they need to figure out this field. Anyway, we're about to watch them throw down right now. Russians, you're looking at them on your screen. Let's look at their breakout.
Russians, standard breakout for them. Sit in the back. You get a guy out to the player side corner, two in the back center. Starting to move up a little bit, but typical first point. Everybody's being back. Shock's playing smart. Russian Legion's playing smart. This used to be like picking each other, see who can make that first. Who's going to extend first? Yeah, and it looks like the first blood goes to the Russians as they take down Aftershock player trying to get out on the pit side of the field. So now look at this though. Aftershock is stuck in the back. They have two players in the stand-up. You're looking at the top overhead, eye in the sky, and now finally making a move out. Oh, they lose Nick Sloviak out of that stand-up. It's not looking good right now. As dominant field position is Konstantin Fedorov. And number 88, you're looking at him right there. And Fedorov, he came to America to play on the Philly Americans for a while. And he played well for them, and then ended up going back to Russian Boston Red Legion. And really everyone thought, man, that was going to be an amazing pickup for them as one of their stars, one of their born and bred stars, came back to the team. Lots of great players, of course, on the Russians. Beloy, Britnikov, Blonsky, Rabikoff. I mean, really tons of great players, and they're just starting to put it on. Aftershock now, only 2 players left alive for Aftershock. And again, Russians playing smart. Russians still 5 bodies up. Shock got 2 left. Oh, there goes another one for Shock. 1 left. Again, watch methodical. They don't lose. They're going to stay back. They're not going to extend somebody super far forward. Typical Russian play. Just sit back, and they know they can get points from So there you go. There's Shock loses the very last guy.
So methodical, the Russians, when they get up a body, and it was Sergey able to streak through the center of the field and played very solidly over here, backing up Fedorov. So Fedorov and Sergey, nice job by them as they're able to take out a couple Aftershock players in the beginning of the game, or at the beginning of that point. And so again, first blood goes to Boston, and the score is going to be 1-0. You know, I didn't really like that breakout from Shock. You know, they got stuck in that back center. They lost the player trying to make it out wide over there, snake side of the, or I'm sorry, a pit side of the field. But then after that, you didn't really see any aggression out of them.
No, not when you have two guys doubled up.
Mm-hmm. Hold on a sec. Let's look at the breakout real quick, Eric. Now you're seeing that breakout, and there's that breakout. Now see, Aftershock, boom, they lose that guy up the center, and you know, I'm just thinking, okay, well, maybe they watched that last game. They watched what Chad George was doing, and maybe the Russians were like, "Hey, let's see if they have any paint going back to the center." Yeah, they're throwing some paint back at that center. I think it was the Russian player running out to the back corner bunker on the pit side of the field, able to put that paint back and take out the Aftershock player trying to make that move up the center. He didn't make it far, and the problem was they lost that aggressive move. Boom, they lose that guy. Then they also lose the player trying to go out to the back corner, and then that was it. They had 3 players stuck in the center.
Yeah, a lot of teams, I don't know why, they like to double up in the back. For me, I would never want to do that. When you see teams do that, you either live or you die by it.
Mm-hmm.
So then we saw Shock, didn't go so hot for them. You see Russian Legion, that's classic for them though.
Classic.
How many times do you see 2 guys or 3 guys sitting back there?
Mm-hmm.
But they know how to do it. They don't freak out. They sit there, they shoot their lanes, then they'll move once they pick off one of the Shock guys or one of the other opposing teams. Shock all year has not been playing good at all.
No, they didn't win a game until this event. But, however, you know, they're coming into this game 2-1, tied for first in the division. And, you know, so I think that, you know, hey, lots of game to be played. But Aftershock, absolutely. They need to go. Also, what worked for them in that first match against Damage was they were just dominant off the break. They shot so many Damage players off the break. Damage didn't know what to do for a while. And now Aftershock losing players off the break.
And again, there's a second guy coming out, trying to fill out of that double back. So we're now seeing 3 up for Shock.
Oh, the goggles come off, and the referee's going to pull them out. Now, what happens if your goggles come off, you're automatically eliminated. Now, however, his goggles didn't actually physically come off his head. They just popped up. But the referee saw that and pulled the player out. So now Sergey making his move. Nice job filling in for Fedorov, as Fedorov had got taken out. So still 4 players left alive for the Russians, and the crossfield spread is had for Aftershock in the back bunkers.
So right now we're seeing 4 Russians alive, 3 Shock alive. So we've got Shock spread on the back corners, one other guy at the tall stand-up.
And now Russians making a move up that center, and it looks like Rabikov.
Shock dropping another body now, 2 guys just in those back corners. The way that the Russians will come out, they'll bring a guy up in the center again. They have 2 guys, 1 in each snake. So they're good communication. The Russians are great with their communication because they know that they're speaking some of their native language.
Yeah, exactly.
To try to pick up on what they're saying is sometimes the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah, Strika.
Yeah,
Strika. But the thing is that, you know, what the Russians, I think maybe they watched Impact play this. Is Impact is doing a real good job of trying to get guys in both snakes and then letting them go to work. Now again, the work is hard in there. It's a tough job when you get into those snakes to try to get any sort of production, get kills out of there. But again, it allows the guns to turn. It opens the field up and it allows players to get up in the center. Look what's happening right now. The Russians have 2 players in the snake, and they have, but he was going to say a little sloppy there. It's a little sloppy. I think that was Matt Blonsky who... Yeah, so it looks like Blonsky getting taken out. And, yeah, they still have great field position, though. But that was, Eric, that's what I'm talking about. You get those guns to spread and start shooting at those snakes and then start making the moves up the center.
Sure, and, like, what those guys are doing, they're trying to creep up, use the other bunkers to block them out, block out a lane, put a good shot on the back corners, but sometimes it doesn't always work. When you're not behind a bunker and you're out in the open, it doesn't always work. It's a great little sneaky move, and people think you're great when you do it, but when you die by it, you're like, oh, God, what are you doing?
Yeah, man, hero the scapegoat. So right now, Sergey trying to work out Sloviak. That's Sergey right there, and he is trying to get a shot. No, actually, that's Mishka.
And from that snake, there's great shots on those back corners, but You have to know how and where to find them.
Yeah, there are. And, Mishka has been playing on the Russians since the Russians began. He was their first, superstar to come out of that team. And then Fedorov came up and arguably you could say kind of stole the mantle from him, at least in the public side. Now, in the player's eye, everyone knows what this guy can do. And you see there, that's smart. He's just shooting. He's trying to just put a stream of paintballs just about half inch off the corner of that bunker. You don't want to shoot the bunker and let the guy know that you're on him.
Yes.
A lot of people make that mistake. They don't think, start blazing their gun. Hey, it's fun to shoot a paintball gun. But the thing is that you have to shoot with intent. And you can see Mishka doing a really good job of shooting with intent right now. When he's putting his shots, he's put about half inch off the corner of that bunker. And also, he's going low. Look at this. Ooh, he might get a leg here.
Now, I think like what you said, shooting the edge of the bunker. If you watch a pro field after it's done, you don't see much paint on the bunkers. You go to the amateurs, the D1, the D2, the D3, those bunkers are covered. Again, we have the referees which are working their butts off to keep things clean. The pro players, they don't put paint where the guy's not.
Yeah, another thing, too, is like if you're about to run a guy down, do not shoot the bunker before you get there.
No.
Because all you're doing is just letting the guy know you're coming, and then that guy's going to trade with you for sure. You just want to shoot. You only want, again, shoot with intent. And here goes Mishka. He's going to make his move. Oh, I don't think he got across. Sloviak might have caught him. Nope. Looks like Sloviak wasn't able to get a ball on him. So Mishka able to get through that lane. And now all he really needs to do is just kind of chill in there and, get a shot down the line when he can. There you go. Gets his gun up down the line. Now he needs to live by his gun here.
Now let's see if he picks up the other move across field.
What he did, I think he's blocked out, though, with that temple.
He can't see it.
But because he's blocked out, though, what's going to let him do is that now maybe he can come around on that side. Oh, you can see, and I'm sure his coaches are telling him from the sidelines exactly what's going on, so that he's going to have that knowledge. Again, it's about. Oh, looks like he lost his gunfight. So Mishka, in a rare occasion, losing his gunfight. Nice job by Aftershock to take out one of the weapons from the Russians, and now. No one on the Snakes on the spectator side of the field for the Russians, Eric.
And that's where, coming off your lane, that's where you'll die. He's trying to switch. He's trying to see what he can do and get the other guy across field. You have two guys behind you. Let them do the work. You get in there. When you can finally get your gun up on a controlled lane, like he was on the back corner, stay on that guy. Just being up there, you're going to make the Aftershock guys so nervous because you're so far up. If you have two guys behind to control, let them, as back guys, do their job. They're pros at that. That's what they do. That's what they train. Being a front guy, you get up there and just beat Mishka. His gun, let's say his gun didn't even work. Yeah. He's still going to be causing such a havoc just being there that the shock guys will come and try to get him out.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, Damian Ryan, who had a great snapshot on, so you got to give him credit for that. He's also a very aggressive player. So eventually, depending on what happens, he might giddy up if, able to dink out Rabakov cross field or something when he would try to come down and take him out. But I agree. When you get in that spot, you have, front players out there, if you're listening and you're in a really crucial spot, you have to really pick and choose your battles. You don't want to just gunfight with reckless abandon when you're in those really tight, important spots. It's really, you have to really use your head and pick and choose the shots that you want to take.
Absolutely. Like, just with practice in the Ironman this last weekend, I have a few moves with some of my guys. It was like, I don't care if your gun doesn't work. I had a conversation with Short about that yesterday. Get up there, make the move, draw the guns. Short was having gun problems. I don't know how many times I've been in the Snake and gone forward and I have no gun at all. Does not work. Completely had to abandon it.
But
pretty
you're still a weapon.
But they don't know. And if you have good, like, Russians have a great coach on the sidelines here. If you have a good coach that can communicate across and tell them what's going on, if the guy's got a dead gun, then he's not going to say, oh, don't waste all your paint or come over and get him. So having a great coach on these sidelines is huge.
Oh, it looks like another Russian coming off. So Rabakov getting shot out of his bunker over there in the Snake, and then that is going to do it. So here comes Chicago Aftershock after an incredibly long point. But Aftershock, hey, man, we always say win the close ones, right, Eric? So, that's a perfect example.
When you see a 3-on-2, who do you think is going to win? The three. Now, I can guarantee you that there's going to be some kind of verbiage later on about Mishka coming off of his lane and trying to fight a battle that he should have not fought. Yeah, and mental errors. You're watching two really awesome players who have really proven their stripes, earned their stripes year after year, especially Mishka, who's been around longer than Rabakov. But, Rabakov's the hero of Chicago. If it wasn't for him, man, I mean, that was such an amazing move that he did to take his team into overtime.
But, you know, hey, man, win some, lose some, and you're looking at him over there just getting shot out of his bunker in a really key spot. And then that was it for the Russians on that point, and now we got ourselves a tie game with 10 minutes and 58 seconds left to play. Now, if I'm Aftershock, man, I'm going to go in there. If I'm Mikey Bruno right now, I'm screaming in that pit. I'm like, look, this is our game. We tied it up great. Hey, win the close ones. Good job, boys. Let's put another 5 out there. Let's live off the break because we've been having a hard time doing that. Let's put our dominant gunfire out there like we did in the first game, and let's come out hot.
And maybe with Bruno being in there, that's the catalyst of why they're coming back and why Shock is playing so much better. Bruno, for the guys out there that are listening that don't know, this is old school Aftershock.
Yeah, absolutely. And they need that mentality to really become a dominant team. All right, so we got a highlight here, replay from the last point, and you're looking at Damian Ryan. So this is the snapshot battle right here. Damian Ryan versus Mishka. And boom, Damian Ryan owns him. So, and that was the key right there. So it's Damian Ryan stepping up, and then boom, there, and then you see Rabakov doing the slow walk off, and that's it. Because immediately after that, the last Russian is going to walk off, and I mean, hell of a job by Shock. Down bodies, looking at a 3-on-2 situation, but just Nick Sloviak and Damian Ryan having that composure to steal it back.
What's amazing on that shot that Ryan had is that he shot Mishka, who was playing the outside of the bunker.
Yes.
But Damian Ryan shot him on the inside of the field, shooting across. That should not happen if you have 2 back guys behind you.
What that tells me is that Mishka was getting sloppy. He was hanging out a little too much. Now the Russians losing a body off the break, and it's Aftershock with 5 alive.
Again, we got Aftershock, 2 guys doubled up at the back, 1 guy in the corner, 1 tall stand-up. Now we're having to move up the center, trying to mirror that move also with the Dorito side.
And look at this destruction off the break as Britnikov comes off for the Russians as well, and another Russian player dropping, and so just 2 Russians left alive. They're in the back center, and Aftershock pressing their advantage past the 50-yard line of the field, and here comes Drew Templeton. He sees the blood in the water, and he is just going to handle the last player.
Shock finished that one smart. They send them 1 guy up to go finish it, and you see how many guys are still back with Shock. 3 guys still back here shooting your guns.
Yep.
If you're going to, all of a sudden, this is another thing that you see so much. 1 guy left alive, like we talked about. Everyone starts going. You keep these guys back. Just control the lanes, because what happens is your guy, your front man that's going to go up there and get that last guy, he knows his back guys. He knows where they're shooting, and they see him. Let your front guy go up there, battle the last Russian guy out, have your back guys stay on those lanes, those control lanes. Your back guy knows, and he can time the paint. Once you're going to get there, stop shooting, let you finish it off, and he's not going to shoot you in the back.
Yeah, it's those key elements, though. And again, it's such a complex game. You know, if you're watching paintball for the first time, if you're a parent tuning in, or somehow you're just checking it out, you know, it's such a complicated mental battle that's going on out there. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. First, let's look at the breakout. Again, the breakouts have been very key, especially in day 2 of this competition. So many bodies dropping off the break. You're looking at the Russians right now, and they lose their player off the, out of that center, and then they immediately lose another player. And it's the thing is that you really, if you're losing 40% of your strength off the break, man, you're going to have a tough time. Now, I'll tell you what, look at this. Aftershock, heavy guns, pretty much abandoning this, not abandoning, but only sending 1 player over to the spectator side of the field. But it didn't matter because they just went back to that bread and butter. And it's just, and I'll tell you what, man, I was one of those guys that had to shoot those lanes off the break for a long time. And that split second, right before the horn blows, you have to be 100% focused on visualizing all those hours you spent shooting lanes and that quick whip of your gun, and just the crucial, just those tiny little increments of space that exist, the difference between you actually putting a ball on that guy running as fast as he can out to the corner and putting paintballs back at you, that it's just such a moment of clarity. And that's why, there's some guys that excel at that, and that's why they're really good at what they do. But those are the guys that really are going to have to really, off the break, handle it. And that's going to be the difference out there.
Definitely. I mean, when you have a good back guy that can shoot those lanes and dump it every single time and get those fast runners, like if I'm going to go to the snake and you're dumping on me and I know you're getting me 2-3 games in a row, like I have to change, or we need to figure out a way to put paint back on you. And how many times did we say, have 2 guys step out, shoot back at their shooters?
Yep.
Send me to the snake, send me far. I'm going to run, and this is where I would say, okay, I'm going to go die, I'm going to go run, but you need to shoot those back guys laning me out.
There's 3 ways to make it out to a spot as we look at Steve Rabakov, get Justin Rabakov, J-Rab making a move. Now this is a bloodbath point right here. Both teams are dropping bodies big time as both Damian Ryan and it looks like Sosine coming off for Shock, and Russians also losing, looks like, a player off the break, so it's 3-on-4 right now, but with Rabakov making that move up the center, Russians are in the driver's seat at this point, and they're down right now 2-1 as we got about 9 minutes and 10 seconds left to play. You're looking at Aftershock on your screen. They need to get their guns up. Look at them. They're a little confused right now, trying to find the bodies. They don't really know where everyone is at. And another Shock player is walking off, so there's just 2 Shock players left alive, Eric.
Just in the back corner at that tall stand-up. And again, with the Russians kind of coming up, they're being methodical. I'm surprised he's not in the snake yet. Like, why not? Like, put paint on there. You got a guy up at the very center.
Mishka making his move. You know, maybe he's going a little bit slower. Not wanting to make another mistake. But like I was saying before, there's 3 different ways you can make it out to bunker. You either run out without shooting and dive in, you run out shooting, or you pause, shoot, and then run out. So, you know, there's a lot of different variables out there as far as, you know, as the shooter trying to shoot that guy, it's like, well, which one of those things is he going to do? A lot of that comes down to scouting, knowing players, knowing teams. You look at this starting to develop here, and the Shock is going to have to pull out a little. They're going to have to pull out something here as they're down bodies. Ooh, look at this, though. And it's down to a 3-on-2. Couldn't see who got shot from the Russians, but it's down to a 3-on-2 right now. Russians still with the advantage, but
I still don't understand how come the Russians are not pushing down the snake side tape a little bit harder, especially with a guy now in that Dorito, a guy in this tall stands. You need to spread that, like we were saying before, spread the field, send the guy up the center.
Oh, and Rabakov getting taken out of that center. So it's 2-on-2 right now as Aftershock clawing and fighting back in this match. And now Aftershock making a move down the snake on the pit side of the field. It might even be 2-on-1.
Like
it is. It's 2-on-1. So after it looked like it was just going to be a cakewalk, no, now we got a 1-on-1 as Mishka takes out one of the
I was just getting ready to
player.
say, with Mishka being in the snake, that's the last place you want to be when it's a 2-on-1.
What a great game, man. Yeah, and now it's a 1-on-1. I don't know if he's got to know that by now is he's literally right by the spectators. He's going to have a coach screaming in his ear in Russian, letting him know what the count is. The count, all that information, so crucially important when you're out here battle. Now they're just locked in a gun. Now it's just an old-fashioned snap-shoot battle.
So here's where you see the Russian coach is behind the Russian player. The Aftershock coach is too close to even the Russian coach. He needs to back up and coach his guy from the back tape. He needs to be within an earshot of his back players. This is, again, where the coaching experience is huge.
Yeah.
You have a good coach out here, good communication. With the Russian coach, he's keeping him calm. He's telling him how much paint he probably has on his back. He's telling him, okay, he's coming out the left side, coming out the right side.
And speaking of paint on his back, can you see? I don't think he has any pods left. I think Mishka's out of paint. And we had seen some crazy pandemonium develop because of paintballs, because of non-existent paintballs.
Yeah, no, Mishka right now is on empty. Right now, this is just a battle.
Oh, and he gets taken out. So here comes Aftershock winning a 4-on-2 to take a 2-point lead with 6 minutes and 26 seconds left to play. And it looks like it was, I think that might have been either Minkowski. See when he turns his back, a nice job. No, it's Brad McCurley. So Brad McCurley, the hero of that point for Chicago Aftershock. He's definitely going to get a couple pats on the back when he heads in there to get cleaned up and head out for this next point. And that is what you need, man. You need players with gumption who understand the stakes. And we're talking about a legacy that's at stake. Aftershock has been getting destroyed this year. They didn't win a game coming into this event. And they know that. You talk to the leaders of that team, and Rennick Miller, the owner of that team, tries to be involved as much as he can. But, hey, man, business happens. But I'll tell you what, he was out there at the last practice on every single point trying to help out the squad. Talked to Nick Sloviak, the leader of that team, and he, really just trying to search as much as he possibly can to try to find out whatever they need. What is it that they need to try to get back in the form that took them second at World Cup last year? It's essentially, yeah, they've had some changes and stuff, but, hey, and then again, they have to remember that they're playing on a team that's like playing on, on the Green Bay Packers, or, like a blue-collar workhorse team that's smash-mouth and just, that's the legacy they live up to. When they put that Aftershock jersey on, that's the persona you're donning, and you have to live up to that.
Well, you got a guy, like we said, Mike Bruno coming back in. Old-school Shock guy. These are the guys that not only playing against them were you scared of them, but, like, even off the field, you were scared to talk. I mean, if you talk bad about these guys in front of them, it was not like, okay, he's got a gun and goggles on. This is like, no, he'll probably come over here and beat my ass.
He'll take off all his stuff and come over and threaten my life in the bits.
And it was true. I was at times like scared of him. I'm like, okay, I'm a lot smaller than he is. I'm gonna just do my deal on the field and then stay clear of him after that. and then hopefully there's no conflict. But having that attitude back in the Shock pits, sometimes that's everything. You get the same guys, the same players, whatever, but all of a sudden, like, you bring one old guy back, and this is like, this is the guy that started the team that we are now wearing across our chest.
Well, and it's interesting. I talked to Miko from your team, and I think that the Ironman, that's a very perfect example. That's why I'm glad they got you back in there, because you need somebody that, you know, a guy that these younger players can look up to, screaming in their face before the game, saying, hey, look, man, this is important. This means something. You fought your entire life. You lived the paintball life. For what reason? I mean, why do you work out? Why do you lift weights? Why do you run? Why do you have countless hours of practice? So you put that Ironman shield on, and you go out there and you represent the Ironman legacy, the World Championship legacy, the team that defined the sport for years.
Definitely.
You know, but if you don't have somebody like that, and that's what emotional leaders do. And I talked to Miko, and that's why I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys play this afternoon. As I talked to Miko after that last event, which was disappointing, and he's like, "Man, we need a lunatic back on the team. We need somebody who's gonna, you know, come in after points where we're down and just go completely crazy and threaten to kill people to something, you know." And because paintball, like at this top level, such an emotional, momentum-based game, and everyone's so good and trains so hard. It has great sponsorship, and I mean, yeah, you could argue there's different levels of capital with these teams and that sort of thing. But ultimately, man, hey, at the end of the day, yeah, maybe your team does have more money. But you got 5 pods on your back and a gun that works, and it's probably an amazing gun because everyone out here has got amazing equipment, and it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's you against them, and I don't really care. I mean, hopefully, you know, you want to be able to, like, there's a great boxing trainer once said, he's like, some people train knowing that other people are training harder than them. I can't fathom those people, you know, and it's one of those things. Always, man. You know, so and now, you know, Shock is, well, let's watch the breakout. But, yeah, Shock is impressing me right now. And Boston needs to get something going. So you're looking at Shock on your screen right now, and you're seeing this a lot. You're seeing a lot of teams putting one player out here towards the spectator side and then really powering up that pit side of the field, as most teams feel that is a more dominant field side. Now, on the flip side, Russians, you see them, look at that, running and gunning, 5 guns up as they try to send players up to that center. But and ultimately, it really came down to the gumption of Aftershock and Brad McCurley, particularly, who dig deep and really won that point for his team.
Like you had talked about how the pits now, they're not allowed to coach or yell at them.
Yeah.
So I think now that's been a huge factor, because now you're getting your more experienced guys playing those sides of the field. Like we talk about 7-man. 7-man, there's no coaching.
Yep.
X-Ball, at the beginning, everybody's yelling. Pits are yelling, audience is yelling, everyone's yelling. I mean, you had coaches everywhere.
Yep.
Now, you're going with your guys that have a lot of the experience, that are playing the sides like where there can't be any coaching. These are the guys that can think on their feet, know when to move, been in these situations,
Absolutely.
Played for years and years and years. You can have like your younger guys that maybe still need to be coached a little bit, told when to go, told when to shoot, not shoot, playing these snake sides. Like I came back out and coached Ironman like this last weekend, and for me, playing the snake player and that being my history, I coach the snake player. That's, for me, it's perfect because I know exactly how he plays.
Hey,
I know what I need
coach
help on.
Quarterbacks, linebackers, coach linebackers.
Like
you know?
like I said, I cannot coach a mid player and I cannot coach a back player. I can't do that. That's not my thing. That's never been my thing.
It's not your expertise, though.
No,
your expertise
but I know how to play
destruction in the snake. You know,
I know how to play
the center. You know, just
in
fun.
the snake. Yeah, that's my deal. I know how to coach, and I was telling these guys like, hey, I'm going to be out there. I coached the Ironman for the first 2 games that we had yesterday. Things went well.
Yeah.
But what I told the guys in practice is like, I'm not going to tell you everything out there. I'm going to tell you the G counts, like how many kills we have, where they are. I'll tell you when to make a move or not. I also told them I might send you to your death sometimes to get that point. But you have some guys out here going, go, go, screaming and like over-coaching them and telling them what they don't really need to know.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think overcoaching is definitely is poison sometimes to younger players because you're giving them too much information.
Exactly, but we've also seen it too with these various teams, like you saw with Infamous. You got Todd Martinez in there trying to help them out, but over here on the sidelines, you're not seeing anybody. It's like, would Todd be better out here? Honestly, like, those guys can figure out what to do, but I think Todd would be better out here.
It's a valid argument. All right, so here on the breakout, Aftershock up 2 points right now. And
shocked, or they're just getting a red flag on the Russians.
Worst time to get a penalty would be right now. And as the Russians draw a major penalty here, 2 bodies walking off. There's only 3 players left alive for the Russians. And let's see if Aftershock can put another point on the board here. The Russians, again, man, in case you're just tuning in, they need this game. They are 0-2 at this event. They have not won a game, and I don't even know the last time that happened.
and right now they're down 3-1. Right now you got 3 bodies left alive for Russians. Shock is battling with 5 guys, being smart, like now starting to creep up, starting to make those secondary moves, shooting their lanes. You see, kind of trying to dissect them. There's another Russian gone now. 2 Russians left, 1 back center, 1 over here on the spectator side can.
And yeah, you can see on the eye in the sky, just
4
Aftershock players all over the place, just calmly moving up the field. And that's going to do it as Sosin grabs that flag. He's going to run it in, and Aftershock looking great these last 2 points as they are going to go up 4-1 with a time of 5:25 left on the clock, and Aftershock is really starting to get that confidence. You can see it in the swagger and the start of that last point. I'll tell you what, man, as far as the history of these 2 teams is concerned, Russian Boston Red Legion and Aftershock have played 13 matches in 8 seasons, and it's been overwhelmingly in the Legion's favor as they've won 10 of 13 by an average of 4.5 points.
Yeah.
So I mean, historically, Boston put the whooping down on Aftershock. Now, a lot of those years have not been Aftershock's best years, and we're talking about a lot of seasons where Legions were either fighting for the championship or winning the championship that year. But hey, man, what have you done for me lately? My dad used to always tell me that when I was growing up, and I think that needs to be said right now. Absolutely, the history always plays a role, and you have to give credit where credit is due historically, and that's why the Red Legion is thought of as paintball gods. However, I'm giving it to Aftershock right now. Aftershock has been pressing me a lot with their mental tenacity. Let's check out here. And that last point, you're looking at the breakout. Again, Aftershock, look at this. Running out fierce, 5 guns up. They able to take out one of the Russian players, and he draws a penalty. Now, another thing to take into consideration right now, Eric, is you're looking at the other breakout here. The Russians, you see, gets taken out, and he looked at it, and boom, there he goes. The major penalty is drawn, completely devastating that side. But the thing is now, Eric, do you think maybe that penalty was because of frustration? We're down points. We're 0-2. Man, I can't even count if I had a nickel for every time somebody on my team got a penalty out of just trying to do too much out of frustration because we're losing or something's happening. But that's the time when you can't do that, because you're fighting back.
I think it is frustration. Like we said, with the Russian Legion, they love to shoot lanes, which they're amazing at, but Shock's not giving them anything. They're keeping 2 guys in the back center, 1 guy's coming up in the middle, and they're sending just 2 guys kind of floating out a little bit, shooting back on the Russian Legion. Russian Legion is trying to still say, okay, we need to get these guys out. They're trying to make moves. They're trying to counterbalance whatever Aftershock is doing. They're coming out there. They're getting clipped. And when you're down points and you get a bounce, mentally you're like, okay, I just got shot. There's a very good chance that thing just broke. But you know what? Maybe I could squeeze off 1 or 2 more, or hopefully the guys pull me out, or hopefully that thing bounced. But it gets down to a point where it's like, I really want to get this point, and let's see. Maybe they won't pull that flag. Maybe the refs being nice today. Maybe he kind of feels bad because we're getting smoked and we've already lost 2 games yesterday. But the guys out there in the black and yellow, they don't care what your score is, what your record is, who you are.
No. If
you saw them last night at have a dinner and said hello to them, they don't care.
They don't care. And you got to give a lot of credit to the referees. The referees draw a lot of ire of the players. But hey, man, ref in paintball, I think, is probably the hardest sport. It's so chaotic of a game, and there's so many things happening at once. And you have these players who are really good at what they do. And another thing too is, it's nice out right now. The weather is not really a factor. However, these guys that play the game, they go out, they play their game, then they go get to rest. And yeah, they're running around, but these refs are out here all day long. And the toughest thing is, like, let's say you're a referee, you ref Friday all day, you ref Saturday all day, depending on where we are in the world and what time. Maybe you're out there in 100-degree heat, and you do that, and then now you're expected to be at your best after you've been working all day in the elements for 3 days, and that's when you got to be at your best. It's tough. Yeah, it's very tough.
These guys, they don't get long breaks. In between games, they have like a 5-10 minute break. They have a lunch for 1 hour, but like you said, there's 11 guys out there on this field reffing this game right now. That's how hard of a sport this is to ref.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's see if the Russians can muster some sort of strength here as they're playing down a body. And Aftershock on the power play. And 5 guns up again for them, and they are not able to take anybody out. Russians able to get Fedorov into the insert bunker over here right behind the Dorito on the spectator side of the field. Nope. Oh, looks like they lose Justin Rabikoff, Eric.
Again, right now you've seen Shock just playing smart. They're just now starting to extend themselves and kind of get out a little bit. Spreading the field, like we always talk about, spread the field, get the guy to each tape, start pitching them back in. That's the one thing you don't really see with the Russians. Like, you don't really see huge breakouts with them. But on that last one, you saw two guys start to make a move into that stand-up can, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, something was forgotten there. Some kind of lines were crossed, which you don't see that typically with the Russian Legion. They've been the team, like you said, that has been together for a long time. The way that the Russians operate versus the United States teams, that's the only team over there. They keep these guys. They farm these guys. These are the guys that have always been. They're one big family over there. United States teams, guys bounce around. They might start going to school, in a different location. Yep. They don't like that team after a while. I can guarantee you the Shock team that you see now, it was not the same roster it was last year. 90% of the Russian Legion was the same team it probably was last year.
Yeah, and Russians getting destroyed, trying to get out of that box, so it's still 3-on-5 right now, and Aftershock in the driver's seat. Now let's see if the Russians, we used to joke about how, hey, the Russians should just start with 4 guys because they were so good playing down, but they're just not getting it done right now as Fedorov gets shot, and look at that, some little, hey, we are in Jersey. Some fist pumping comes out of Aftershock's line, and they, hey, I'll tell you what, you're up points, a little under 4 minutes left alive, and they should definitely feel very confident and feel very happy about the performance so far, but they're not out of the woods yet.
No, and I mean, the way that Shock's playing right now, this is the team that wasn't doing so hot the tournaments before. Now all of a sudden, something changed. Something in the Aftershock camp changed. And now that they're the team that people are going to be scared of. Because, like, why were they doing bad all year? And then now they're totally turning this around. Why is the team that's been dominating all year all of a sudden having all these problems?
I'll tell you what, man. If I had to play Aftershock right now, I'd come in with my brass knuckles. Because you're looking at a team that, okay, so yesterday they had a really good game. They destroyed Infamous. Infamous, even though they're, again, one of the most talented lineups in paintball. Then they lose a heartbreaker to Edmonton Impact. And had one point where it was crazy and they shot their own guy. It was not good. But very close match. Then they come out today. They beat Damage in a bloodbath, 5-4. And then now they're on the precipice of taking down Boston Red Legion in dominant fashion. And, man, that says something.
Yeah, I mean, what it also probably shows is his homework.
Yeah.
Like, watching these other teams, I mean, that's the one thing. Like, sometimes teams come out here and they take a while to get into the field, but the teams that are really going to be doing their homework and doing good are sitting up in the stands watching who they're going to be playing next. Or they have someone they're doing it for them. Again, Russian Legion we talked about, they have an army just of coaches. They have 4 or 5 coaches. Sometimes you have the people down in the pits, you have the people on the sidelines. Like, they videotape, they know everything about every player on every team. And that's one of their huge strengths, but right now it's like, is it helping Shock out? Maybe they didn't take them serious. Maybe they didn't take that other team serious.
Which is completely inexcusable to me if you go 0-2 the first day. I mean, first of all, you should take every team serious. I mean, you're a professional paintball player, man. This is what you do. These guys get paid to do this. This is their life.
Yeah, and it being paintball, we always used to joke like, well, that's paintball. Things happen. Things can happen real bad, real fast.
Wow. A truer statement has never been spoken.
So now we're seeing kind of just a stalemate again, or kind of just not huge moves. Everyone just kind of laying behind their guns, shooting lanes.
You got an aggressive move made off the break by the Russians. They take the stand-up cannon in the center of the field. However, with 3 minutes and 13 seconds left, down as many points as they are. Oh, look at this. Aftershock losing a player over here on the snake, or on the spectator side of the field.
But also dropping one of the Russians as they try to make a guy move up the center there.
Yeah, Andrew Heyer getting shot over here, but we'll see if Russians can capitalize on it. They're making moves all over the field, and a nice job, too. Looks like they keep all 3 bodies left alive as they make those moves. So now they're in Snake 1 on the pit side of the field. Ooh, Damien, yeah, looks like Aftershock, wow, moves on this very chaotic point, both sides of the field. Everyone's trying to impress their will on the other team. And, Fedorov getting shot out of the spectator side Snake, and look at Fedorov. He's like, where did that come from?
He's confused. He's not the same. He doesn't have that walk that he has normally. It's like he's got that pep. He's always trying to taunt the other team.
Yep.
You know, doing his own version of like the Russian fist bump, but you're not seeing that really today. Right now we got Oh, good little battle
and
there
look
in
at
the
this,
snake.
and then you
Two
get
more guys taking off just now.
Yeah, but then Sergey does some lackadaisical little dive into the snake, and he gets shot.
I don't know what's going on. They're not throwing in the towel.
Well, no, I heard the horn, and it looked like Cody Minkowski was left alive for Shock. So yeah, Shock is going to win that point as Boston forced to concede it, losing too many bodies. And with 2 minutes and 6 seconds left, it's all Aftershock right now, and you can just, I mean, body language on their moves. Actually, well, it looked good there as Fedorov got in the snake, and some players made some moves, and that looked crisp. But then Fedorov dives out of his bunker, and then Sergey makes like I said, is some sort of lazy move into the snake, and he gets shot. The Russians not looking good.
No, I honestly, they're making the right moves to come up and really start forcing it on Aftershock, but maybe it's just Shock sitting back, holding the lanes, being more complacent, being like, you know what, these guys got to come at us.
Yeah, 6-1, just dominant performance by Aftershock as Russian coming off a win, too. An amazing event in Chicago. Let's look at the breakout. That is the Russians on your screen. Is a pretty aggressive breakout, though, losing a player on that pit side of the field. And two stuck in that back center now here. Aftershock on their breakout, way out back corner on the pit side, doubling up that back center. Aggressive push in the center of the field to the stand-up temple. And you look at them, all 5 guns up, rolling. And it's been all Aftershock here. This was a close match in the beginning, but Aftershock just really realizing what their potential is, I think that's the thing, and it's great to see some of these younger guys, less experienced guys. A win like this is huge. I mean, you're taking on the team that won a very dramatic victory in Chicago against Dynasty, and just getting completely destroyed by Aftershock, who coming into this event had not won a game.
Which is, I mean, to see them turn that around and be strong here is huge. Look, right now we got 6-1. This could be the last point for Russians, so you're starting to see them starting to be a little bit more active, trying to get now into the snake. Yeah,
it's a race to 7. In case this is the first time you're watching a PSP event here in professional leagues, it's a race to 7, so Aftershock 1 point away with 1 minute 43 seconds left to go. And Fedorov is trying to do anything he possibly can to avoid just complete embarrassment.
Fedorov starting to do some work. He's got two guys off this tape already. Now we got 3 Shock left alive. Fedorov trying to work across the snake, also starting to work on that very back right corner.
Yeah,
and I think he's pinching him in a little bit. Fedorov wears one.
Yeah, he gets cyclopsed by, looks like, back player here. Might have been Sosin in the back center. And it's the Russians just don't have what it takes here in this game. As Rabakov gets taken out as well, trying to do something down the pit side. Snake. And there's just one Russian player, and I'll tell you what, I'll give it up to him. He's still going at him. Still aggressively pushing forward, but Aftershock doesn't have to do anything at this point with less than a minute left.
We still have 2-on-2. We have one guy in the center, Dorito, in the center of the field, one guy over there on the snake side.
Now it looks like a 1-on-2 right now, as just the back center is left alive for Aftershock. So yeah, the Russians still with 2 players left alive, and all the last player for Aftershock has to do is just hold off for 37 more seconds.
No,
I don't know.
Shock's got another guy in that back corner.
Oh yeah,
it's 2-on-2.
Yeah, we're blocked out from here, or I'm in. But yeah, it's 2-on-2. So yeah, there on your screen, you just saw the 2 players for Aftershock. Now you're looking at the Russian line.
But let's look at the time now. 20 seconds left. Aftershock's just gonna milk this. I mean, Russian Legion. Yeah, you want to try to go get that last point, maybe just for your own personal well-being to feel good, but. Aftershock's just going to milk this out.
I mean, if you get beat like this, if you get beat bloody, at least you want to bloody the other guy a little bit. So when he's, taking that shower and wiping off the dirt after a long day at the field, he's like, oh, man, we played Aftershock and we may have beat him, but, dude, they put 15, 20 welts on my side and it hurts.
But, I mean, Aftershock right there just rolled it up clean at the end of the game, just letting it go to time.
Yeah, so amazing job by Aftershock, the underdogs coming into this match, at least when you're looking at the historical record, though in this event playing substantially better than the Russians, who dropped to 0-3. Now Aftershock 3-1. Coming at you next, we got Impact and Damage. That should be a great game. I'm Matty Marshall. I'm up here with Eric Roberts, and we got more paintball action coming at you from the PSP New Jersey Open from Cream Ridge, New Jersey. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back after these messages.